Well, Donald Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, pleaded guilty to a litany of criminal offenses. He's implicated the American president in conspiring in a crime. At the same time, another trusted advisor, Paul Manafort, was found guilty on 8 counts of fraud. And Manafort's case was only the first criminal case arising from a probe into alleged Russian election meddling. ENCA's Washington correspondent Simon Marks joins us now. I guess, Simon, people throughout the world are now asking the question, what are the implications for Donald Trump himself?
Well, that's exactly what they're asking, and they're asking that question here in Washington as well, Vuyo. It's absolutely notable today that the usual defenders of President Trump, the people who fan out on the cable news channels here in the United States, the people who work at the White House and stand in front of the cameras there, volubly defending him day after day after day, they are completely silent today. We're due to get a White House briefing in about 25 minutes' time from his press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, what she is going to say in the aftermath of what some officials privately yesterday were describing as the 4 o'clock slaughter, because both of these judicial issues developed at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, back to back. First of all, the news that Michael Cohen, the president's former lawyer, was going to plead guilty to campaign finance violations and implicate the president directly, saying that he had paid hush money on the president's behalf to 2 women in a deliberate attempt to try and influence the outcome of the election and make sure that they did not tell their stories publicly. Then right off the back of that, Paul Manafort becoming the first presidential campaign manager since Richard Nixon's to be convicted of a crime. 8 counts of bank fraud and tax fraud, and that is a devastating indictment of Mr. Manafort, although it doesn't relate directly to the 2016 presidential election campaign, but it's also an indictment of President Donald Trump, whose judgment is being called into question after he put Paul Manafort squarely into his inner circle. On Twitter today, Donald Trump said, "I feel very badly for Paul Manafort. Justice," he put in quotes, by which he meant the Department of Justice, took a 12-year-old tax case, among other things, applied tremendous pressure on him, and unlike Michael Cohen, he refused to make up stories in order to get a deal. Such respect," wrote the president, "for a brave man." That's an astonishing thing for the president of the United States to be saying about a man who has just been convicted of defrauding the American tax authorities to the tune of millions of dollars, and also by inference what he's saying there about Michael Cohen, saying that he's been making all of these stories up, even though if you follow the money, it is absolutely clear that Donald Trump is implicated in all of this.
Now, Simon, there have been calls for Donald Trump to be impeached. But even some of his most vocal critics are warning that such an impeachment would be a double-edged sword, because in a partisan Congress like you have, it may not succeed, and a triumphalist Trump afterwards would be even more dangerous and even more reckless.
Well, first of all, Vuyo, with regard to impeachment, nothing can happen this side of November, because right now the Republicans control the House of Representatives, where impeachment proceedings must begin. There are midterm elections here in November. The entire House of Representatives is up for grabs. If the Democrats take control of it, they will absolutely try to impeach Donald Trump. You can lay money on it. Within 5 minutes of taking control of the House of Representatives, they will announce plans to do that. However, all of this is going to place Republicans and Democrats in a very sticky position. Democrats who used to argue that Bill Clinton should not be impeached over his sexual liaison with Monica Lewinsky will now find themselves in a situation saying that Donald Trump should be impeached over a personal matter. Republicans who were thrilled to impeach Bill Clinton over his sexual liaison with Monica Lewinsky will now say, no, you mustn't impeach a Republican president over a personal matter. So we've got some very interesting times ahead.
Well, let's leave it there for this evening. Simon Marks, our Washington correspondent. Well,